Time to check in with our lizard overlords. What are they up to? Well, this.
Is this the worst hour now?
Are we done our first hour?
Yeah, we're into our worst hour now.
Keep your expectations of this episode low. Starting the worst hour now, I feel like we've crossed into like maybe not great content hour.
Welcome to our worst hour.
Trudeau resigned. Well, he didn't resign. He actually didn't quit. Everyone's like, Trudeau's resigned. I'm like, he never did. He just said he's going to prologue Parliament and stay prime minister. That's not quitting. They're going to have a leadership race. What?
He fucked us good there on his way out. Not that he's out yet, but now there's no government until March.
Yeah. This was the worst possible scenario for the country. What he did. Absolute worst possible scenario.
Fuck us for how many years, and then on your way out the door, you fuck us some more.
Yep.
Like, this should be criminal. This is criminal. What he's done to this place.
Yeah. And then when you go online, there's like millions of people talking about how he was the greatest prime minister ever and people bawling in the streets because he's gone. And I'm like, who the fuck are you people?
What algorithm are you getting? I haven't heard one thing about that.
Oh, I don't know. It's like you go on any social media network, there'll be someone posting saying, this is the saddest day ever for Canada that Trudeau's gone. And then you look at the thread and there's like fucking hundreds of people talking about how they love him so much. And I'm like, my God, like even if you were like a staunch liberal supporter, like at some point you'd have to be like, hey, like there's no housing and there's no like, my God, like you just have to. So now anyways, he didn't actually resign. He said that he would step down as leader once they had elected a new leader.
Who wants to run into a burning building and be the leader of that party? Like, who?
I think that your
career decision.
I don't know, because you have to say what's your vision. I think if you're becoming the leader of the Liberal Party, then you need to say, I know we're about to get fucking thumped, but I have a vision of making a comeback after the thumping. Like you have to say, I'm not becoming the leader of the Liberal Party for this election. I'm becoming the leader of the Liberal Party for 2029 or whenever the fucking next election is. That's when you're becoming the leader of the party for.
I think that's too soon. I think you need someone there as a punching bag for the next 4 years at least, before you can start to rebuild. You can't rebuild with things this fresh.
I think
way too much damage. But liberals are fucking delusional, so.
I think you live in a very liberal country where people will forgive and forget, and the people like you're talking about so many billions of dollars that people are impervious to it. It's meaningless. When someone says I saw a thing, they sent $6 million to 297 women in the Gaza Strip to look for micro entrepreneurship opportunities. That's a thing. There's a guy on TikTok who's reading every line of the budget. And so if you do the math on that, I can't find what there. It's $6 million divided by 297 women. So each woman got $20,000 from micro opportunities in the Gaza Strip.
I could use a micro opportunity.
Well,
did you say
at one point
$200,000?
No, there's 297 of them, so it's $20,000.
There's 6 million?
$6 million. 6 million divided by 297 is $20,202.02.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. My math is off.
200,000 would be if they gave it out to like 60 women.
Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. Good thing I'm not in charge of the country. But
They gave
that's still $20,000 more than they deserve.
Well, I'm not saying they don't deserve it. There may be
I'm
amazing
saying they
micro.
don't deserve it. It's my tax money.
Okay, but I'm saying there may be amazing micro entrepreneurial opportunities for women in the Gaza Strip. That could be true. And if we were a prosperous country that had billions of dollars in the bank and there was no homeless veterans and we could all go to the hospital, like go to the hospital and get medical care and the country was running perfectly, I would say to you, even then, I think this is a stretch to be a good use of money. But when your budget is $64 billion in the deficit, I don't think this is a great use of money.
Agreed.
I don't think it's a great use of money if you're prosperous. I think there's better ways to spend your money than on micro entrepreneurial opportunities in the Gaza Strip for women. But that's just my opinion. And obviously, I'm not in power. So someone in power thought this was but I feel like when people are making these decisions, they just look at it and they're like, 6 million to this. It's only 6 million because it doesn't really mean anything to anyone anymore. There's no meaning left in it. Like, and that goes for almost any country.
How can we go from 6 million doesn't mean anything to here's the $250 rebate for every Canadian that is incredible and is just going to change lives? That's where it doesn't equate to me.
I agree with you. It's crazy.
Like it can't be $250 is a lot of money and it's going to help a lot of people on one hand, and $6 million isn't a lot of money and we need to give it to these fucking 297 women in Gaza.
For micro opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. A micro like, are we selling tortillas or like falafels? Like, is that a micro
In Gaza?
opportunity? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I think though that I don't know. Like, I think as poorly run as this country is, in Britain right now, there's a massive scandal because the government, and I don't understand all of British politics and who did this and who didn't, but the government at the time covered up massive gang raping, and they're calling them grooming gangs, where they were gang raping young white girls because the people running the grooming gangs were Muslim Pakistanis and they didn't want there to be a racial problem and they didn't want people to say that multicultural wasn't working. So they were letting this go on for years. That's insanity. That, and you could go, like, anyone could Google it. There's tons of it all over the internet right now because it's all coming to light, everything that happened. And there's court documents where they're talking about how they would spend days expanding the anal passages of young girls so that when these men came to rape them, they had a better experience. That's like all there in the court documents, and the government covered it up because they were more worried about multiculturalism than they were worried about gang rape. In my world, it doesn't matter who's gang raping young girls. You should care about it. Whether it's white people or brown people or black people or Chinese people or whoever, it doesn't matter. It's gang rape of young girls. That should matter. But in a liberal woke society, it doesn't matter. It matters more to protect the ethnicity of the men who are doing it than the girls who are having it done to them. And that's if you look it up in Britain, there's all kinds of documentaries about it now, that it's more important in Britain to protect the ethnicity of the men who are raping women than the women who are getting raped. So I would say that as of right now, I don't think that's going on here, but it could be. Who knows what cover-ups will come out when Trudeau's finally out of office?
Everything gets swept under the rug so quickly here. Like Arrive Can and what other
SVL Leveling?
Yeah, that one. There was another one in there.
Green Slush Fund.
That's the one, yeah.
He gave his mother $80 million for speaking at fake charities, the We Charity scandal.
That's it, yeah. Yeah.
Those are like, supposedly, I was watching today, there's been 68 major scandals while he was prime minister.
I'm telling you, it's criminal.
But there's a good portion of the country that believes he was doing those things for the good of the country. Like, there's a good portion of Britain that believes covering up gang rape to protect multiculturalism is a good thing for the country. There's a good portion of that country that truly believes that. Same as here. There's a good portion of our country that believes those things.
I don't want to be around those people.
You're around them every day.
I know I am. I have no choice. This is the reality of life in Canada.
It's the reality of life everywhere almost.
Yeah.
And the only place it's not the reality of life is I guess there must be some Poland apparently. Try to get into Poland as a fucking immigrant. It ain't happening. They blow them in the face with water cannons and shit. They started shooting live rounds at people who tried to get into Poland last week.
Well, still more civilized than some things that are going on in the world.
I would agree. I don't know. Trudeau, I would guess the only reason that he would resign, in my opinion, is that if you think about all the things that the media and the Conservative Party and the NDP know about him, and none of those things caused him to resign. Not until his own party told him to resign did he resign. What the hell do you think they know about him? Do you think that the worst things have actually come to light about him? Absolutely not. The stuff that's come to light about him is probably minor compared to the stuff that his own party knows about him. And they probably were like, if you don't resign and try to give us a fighting chance with this party, we're going to start releasing the actually bad things that you've done.
That's a scary thought.
It's probably the truth, though. Before Christmas, he was like, yeah, I'm not resigning. I'm the best way forward for the country. You think that he suddenly stopped believing that? He woke up this morning and no, he said he had a dinner conversation with his kids. So he sat down with his teenage kids and decided the fate of the country at the dinner table. Do you guys think I should keep running for prime minister? Do you like all the free trips to British Columbia where we don't have to wait in line at the ski lift?
Yeah.
He's obviously set for life. What is he like other than he has so much money? Like he was rich when he became prime minister, but his wealth is 10 times what it was when he became prime minister. He has more money than who knows? He spends a lot of money. So God only knows he could probably spend it all. But he's fine. His kids are fine. His mom's got 80 million from the We charities. Like everyone's good. The only thing is the power is gone, right? The power of being the prime minister.
Would you take it if you couldn't walk anywhere in public without everybody yelling at you and calling you a piece of shit, telling you ruined their country? Do you think that would bother you?
I'd like to hope that I'd have better leadership. That I wouldn't ruin the country.
I don't think it's hard to have better leadership at all. Like I understand it's a hard thing to do to run a country, but nobody can be that bad at the job.
I think that one of the biggest problems facing all countries, well, I don't know the political structure of all countries, but I think that one of the biggest problems facing all countries is not having term limits. There's a senator in the U.S. that was missing and has Alzheimer's or something and ended up in an old age home and no one knew where she was because she was like 97 years old, 95 years old. Like
something, Ruth.
No, that's a different person. She was a judge. Yeah, she was this is some other senator who ended up in a nursing home, like wandering around the streets and ended up at these are not people who should be if there should be some kind of term limits. I think you delete a lot of the other problem with politics now is, and maybe it's always been this way, I don't know, but it's painfully obvious now because of the internet. It's mostly just a way to get rich.
Yeah.
There's no one, very few people are running for, like, do you think it's a coincidence that Doug Ford closed down the Science Center when his biggest his biggest supporters or whatever donators donate, what do you call that? I don't know. Mike, people who donate to political parties, political
Donors. Yeah.
So his biggest political donors own all the land on the other side of the Science Center that had been deemed basically useless because the Science Center was in the way. Do you think that it's like randomly the guy closes the Science Center when it only helps one family who donate millions of dollars to him politically? Like, do you think that that's random? And they're doing nothing with it for a couple years, and then when everyone's sort of forgotten about it, he'll sell the land off to them, and then they're going to build massive condo towers
Um,
there. Like, and he's going to get rich off it. Well, he's already wealthy. Like, what's totally crazy is Jagmeet Singh's net worth is $30 million, and think people like legit think that he's holding up things for his pension. His pension's $2 million. Like, he's holding up things because he's the most powerful person in the country right now. Not because he gives a shit about his pension. He's the one that decides whether the country falls or stays. He's in total control of the government. And he'll never have another opportunity like that in his life to be in total control of the government. So why would, like, everyone's like, oh, he's trying to keep his pension. I'm like, yeah, no, like, he's trying to keep control of the government. Most powerful person in the country is Jagmeet Singh. Trudeau can't do anything without Jagmeet Singh's approval.
well, if we get our way, that's all going to be changed in a couple months.
Jagmeet Singh's losing in his own riding in BC.
Of course he is. He's
by like 40 points.
Good.
Like, the chances of him winning his own seat are almost zero.
Good.
I don't think people even like Polyev that much. I think they just fucking hate everyone else so much.
Can you ever like a politician?
No.
You can have some that are better than others, some that can do the job. And this might be the guy who can do the job.
You never know.
Never know. Can't do much worse. The shoes to fill aren't very big.
The division in our country now makes it almost impossible to govern it.
So cut it up.
Because there's people who, I'm just saying, I don't disagree with you. Ontario and Alberta could separate and be their own countries. The rest of the country is doesn't make enough money to cover itself.
Cut them up.
Ontario, I think, would be debatable now too after Kathleen Wynne, but
I don't think
the problem is there's a large group of people who support giving $6 million for micro entrepreneurial opportunities for women in the Gaza Strip. And there's a bunch of people, me included, who think that that's not a good use of money. And there used to be a way to have a rational discussion about that, where two sides could get together and have a rational discussion about why it's good and why it isn't good. But now that discussion is, I don't think it's a good idea to give $6 million or whatever it is to the Gaza Strip for micro opportunities, entrepreneurial for women. And then the other side will look at you and say, you're a racist.
Yeah.
And that's the debate in the country now. You're a racist. I don't think it's good to endlessly bring millions of people into this country when we have no way to house them or take care of them or give them health care, or like, it's just as shitty for the people that come when there's no jobs and no opportunities and there's 20 of them living in a basement paying to, like, that's not a great either. Like, but if as soon as I say that, I'm a racist.
You're not a racist. You're called a racist.
I'm called a racist. Yeah, I'm called a racist because I think that we should have controlled immigration to make sure that it's just as good for the people coming in as it is for the fucking people living in the country. And that's the problem, is there's no debate. It's the same as if someone comes and says, I want to give $1.8 billion to a group of African countries to promote transgenderism. And I look at them and I, well, I mean, and someone looks at them and says, you're just a woke fucking moron, without having an active debate on why we're doing that. It goes both ways. It's not a one-sided argument. It's not just people saying you're a race. Like on the other side, people are like, well, no matter what it is a group of people that no matter what a liberal person suggests, it means they're just a woke loser. And maybe some of their things they're suggesting are relevant. Having a small dental allowance or dental care allowance for people that are pensioners in this country, I don't think that's a terrible idea. But there's a group of people who would tell me I'm a fucking woke moron because I want to say that people who paid into this country for a long time should get some dental care.
So here's the thing. You can have all these great social programs, but you have to have the money first. Make the money first. And
we
then
have the money.
We just going to spend it.
We have the money. We just give it away to all the other countries. Like, why are we giving? As long as we're running a deficit, we shouldn't be giving away money to any country.
Agreed. Yeah. But now we're in this hole, and the social programs have to suffer until we can get out of the hole. Right?
Or stop giving away money to other countries.
Use the money that we are giving away to fill the hole.
Yes, agreed.
Right? Everything has to stop the bleeding.
Agreed.
It's like a business, right? Like, as much as people don't like Donald Trump, he's a fucking businessman. He's doing what's best for America. You need to run it like a business. And if you have money at the end, then we can have nice things. Just like at home, right?
A lot of it, though, it comes to pandering to special interest groups or wealthy donors.
And I think that's incredibly important to point out that Pierre Poilievre, as much as people might like him, he's a career politician. Like, he hasn't done anything else in his life. So he's got no experience in business. He's got no experience anywhere else. And how did he become a career politician? Well, donors and everything like that. So you can't trust a politician.
You can be level-headed enough to know that what you can't do, you hire people to do. Professionals.
And that's the goal, right?
Fucking friends.
I've never heard of any of his advisors. He was just on Jordan Peterson's podcast, and he was listening off people. And like, ideally, I would like to see him surrounded with people that have actually done things outside of being career politicians. And I didn't see that, to be honest. And it still comes down to the fact for me that you just can't trust a politician, especially somebody who's made a career of it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's any different than any other politician. He's just different than the current two politicians that run the country.
Yeah.
I don't have any insane hope that he's going to turn things around, but he's at least different than the other
alternatives.
The other two have been running the country for the last 3 or 4 years, right? It's been a joint coalition since the last election. So they've had we're going into our 4th year now of them running the country, the two of them. I don't think the country's in a better place today than when Jagmeet and Trudeau took over the country 4 years ago. Like, I don't think it's in a better place economically. I don't think it's in a better place socially. I don't think it's in a better place multiculturally. I don't think there's anything that's better about the country now than when the two of them took it over. So you need to change that no matter what. Someone different needs to run the country.
Yep.
So there's an argument that the Liberals, if they change their leader, will get a bump, because a lot of the people who have been there for the last 9 years, 10 years under Trudeau, they're not running again. A lot of them have dropped out, said, I'm not running, because they don't want to get slaughtered. Right? So in theory, there'll be a lot of new faces in the Liberal Party, plus a new leader. but I just still wouldn't vote for them. But I'm just saying, like, those two guys have not, in my opinion, have not done a good job of running the country for a variety of reasons. But I don't think I'm in the minority, apparently. But will Polyev do a better job running the country? I don't know.
He'll have a majority. We'll see.
I think that governing a country when you're not governing by a majority is pretty hard. Although he can't do, like, there's a lot, he's going to run into a lot of problems because I think there's 100 senators or something, and 84 of the senators were appointed by Justin Trudeau. So they're very liberal supporting and Trudeau supporting, because they wouldn't have those lifetime jobs without him. Because that's a job for life, right? Once you become a senator. So in the last, I don't know how many senators there were before he took control, or how many have died during the last 10 years that he had to replace. But like 84 of them were placed there by him in the last 10 years, which is pretty crazy. There's no reason in Canadian government to even have a Senate, as far as I know. I don't know. We should have my brother on. He's a geopolitical expert.
Are you a Trudeau supporter?
No. He's a liberal, for sure. He's a fucking university professor. He's obviously a liberal.
Yeah.
So we were at Christmas. He's like crazy smart, right? Like insanely, like top 1% of the population smart. And we were sitting around the Christmas table, and he was there, and I was sitting beside him, and somehow it came up, him being really smart. And his wife was telling us, as you're speaking to him, I didn't even know he did this. I mean, he's been my brother for, like, I don't know, he's like, I think they're 4 years younger than me. So he's like 47. He's like, as you speak to him, he can literally tell you how many letters are in every sentence as you speak it.
Really?
Yeah. He calculates it that fast in his brain.
Why does
And he
he
said he's
want
been doing,
that,
I don't know. He said he's just been doing it since he was a little kid, since he was like in kindergarten. He's just been
Wow.
calculating it.
He's a
Is that-
history
So-
professor?
He's a history professor. Yeah, he wrote a book.
I'd
He wrote
love
a
to
book.
have him on the show.
Yeah, we should have him on. He's a super interesting guy. He's
What does he teach for history?
Canadian American politics.
Wow.
Yeah, he's an
Still a
expert. He's one of
liberal?
the foremost. He's one of the foremost experts in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. My brother Chris.
We should definitely have him on.
He's I bet he would come on. He's an interesting guy. He's been on when the Sun News Network was there, he used to be on that sometimes, talking about Canadian political relations. And yeah, he actually works for the Canadian government now, writing historical biographies
Wow.
of famous Canadians.
Trudeau's next?
Maybe he'll get Trudeau. Yeah, maybe he'll get Trudeau. Yeah, we can have him on if you actually want to have a good geopolitical discussion about politics. He would be able. He is an expert. He would be able to tell you the entire history of it. Yeah, but that got me thinking about when he was talking about people calculating things in their brain, and I started thinking about, or him calculating the amount of letters in every word you say to him, and how many letters are in a sentence, which is next level. Why you would want to do that, I don't know, but I'm sure if you start doing it as a kid and you keep doing it as a, anyways, I was thinking, like, for me, I kind of do that, but I do it like if on a job sites.
Yeah.
As we go through job sites, I'm constantly calculating what we've spent on that job to try and get to a number to see if we're still making money. And I do it endlessly. I'm endlessly like, okay, this was this much, that was that much. The guys have been there this many days. This is my costs. Like, constantly trying to figure out if we're making money or not.
Yeah.
And
I
so
do that as well.
I think there's a group of people who are maybe have a more naturally entrepreneurial brain that are constantly calculating that. And then there's people who want to own their own business, but aren't doing things like that naturally.
Is there a way
And
to get
those
to that if you
a
don't do
way
it
to,
naturally?
I don't think there is. I think just like there's people who were born to play hockey or baseball or lacrosse or pickleball. Uh, I think there's people who were just naturally born more entrepreneurial than other people. And there's some people who try to force feed that entrepreneurial brain to themselves and they never get it because it just wasn't in their DNA.
I think there's just levels to it. To like bring back the hockey reference, like Connor McDavid, he's born with it, but he also worked really hard for it. But you can teach yourself and be really good. You just won't be Connor McDavid,
I
right?
agree.
If you weren't born with the skill to be Connor McDavid, you can still work really hard and you won't get to the skill level, but you might get to like be really good.
You might make it to the HL,
Yep, absolutely.
So if you're a
still have a good and still have a good life.
I mean, even if you made the OHL, you're still pretty good.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just the whole conversation made me think about, are some people more naturally adapt and will just always be more successful because they're the way their brain is working and the way their brain's thinking. And then I agree, there's people who can take courses and read books and try to train their brain to think that way. But I don't know that they ever will be as good as someone who was just born thinking that way. And then you have people who are born thinking that way, who spend the time to train their brain to think that way more. And those are the people that are really accelerating, you know?
Hard work.
And, well, then there's people like me whose brain maybe sort of just works that way, but it's too lazy to go to a mastermind and learn anything. Brought that all around. You see that? um, but even like we deal with a lot of entrepreneurs in our business. You know, we supply gravel and bins and traxels, and so we deal with a lot of entrepreneurial people in our business. And over the last couple of weeks, I've just been thinking about it, and there's definitely people we deal with that are just very, very good entrepreneurially, and there's people who desperately want to be good but just aren't. And there's people who are working really fucking hard to get good at it, but just aren't good at it no matter what they try. And some of them have been going on for years like that, trying as hard as they can. And it just doesn't work. And then there's people who it just works for them. And maybe they have a bigger vision, or because I don't think it's based around luck. Unless you guys do.
No. No, it's not luck. Um, I I came across a post the other day. You know how you'll have your employees complaining that you're not doing any work or something, or that no, the post was something about um the boss telling the employees that the employees make more than the boss does. You ever do that? I tell my guys that. They'll be like, oh, well, we made this much or whatever. I said, yeah, you made more than me this week because I haven't been paid yet, right? And then I started rolling through the comments and they're all bashing the boss and all this shit. And I'm thinking about it. And it's like the employees comparing themselves to the boss at that same day, right? Like the employee and the boss that same day. When the employee should really be the boss is 10 years at least more experienced, or the boss is reaping dividends from the work that they put in 10 years before. And that's why they're making more, right? I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but
Well, you also put in work that there was no guarantee of return on.
yeah. Yeah, but the workers don't understand that always, right? They just
No.
see the boss with the big house and the pool, whatever. The wife's driving a Mercedes or whatever. These,
Are
these
you
are
like
divid
picking
these are
on yourself,
dividends
Chad, or
of
what?
something I started 15 years ago, right? It's coming to fruition now. You can't compare yourself today to me today.
Yeah, but you gambled on yourself.
Yeah, but they don't think about that stuff.
But if you're working for an hourly wage, you're that's not a gamble. You're getting paid the rate that you agreed to for the work that you agreed to do, and it's getting completed. That's not. I mean, you could argue there's a small bit of gamble because maybe you don't get paid one week because the company you work for goes bankrupt. So you're gambling on like incredibly good odds that you're going to get paid, right?
Yeah.
Every week. Like that's I don't know, I'm not an odds maker, but the odds of you getting paid when you're working for a company for a salary or an hourly wage are pretty high.
And
When
I
you're
no reason to think that they wouldn't be paid, right? So obviously they're
yeah,
getting
yeah. So but when you're doing things like staying up late on a Tuesday night after your wife and daughter have gone to bed, after the Mercedes has been parked. I'm only bringing that up because you brought it
and
up.
then we're doing the podcast, which we also aren't being paid for.
Yeah,
But
but
we'll
one day
get big dividends 5 years down
One
the
day,
road.
yeah, these dividends are coming.
you don't, but see, you don't know that tomorrow someone could call and say, hey, you guys have been putting in 2 years worth of work, not getting paid, doing a podcast, and I want to sponsor it for 50 grand. That could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
It could. But back to so you're up at 10 o'clock at night doing this quote that has the tender that has to close the next day, and you have no fucking idea if the time you spend doing that is going to get you paid because you could be high.
Yeah.
30 people could bid that tree job and you could be the highest one. And you just spent 6 hours of your time to not get paid a penny, right? Now they got paid for every minute they worked. You didn't get paid for the 6 hours it took you to do the tree quote. And that's essentially the difference. It's what are you willing to gamble?
But they only compare what
What
they
are you
see.
willing to gamble?
They will only ever compare what they see. They'll see them drive into work
Yeah.
every morning and see the big house and then get back to their shit box.
Which is why it's debatable whether you should build a big house at your yard. But
I did it. What do you want me to do? I'm not going to just
well, you can't take it back.
take
I
it
know.
away.
You need to go buy another yard. Instead of buying a cottage, you should be buying another fucking yard.
I want a cottage. No, I want that. It's not like this is a major
go to the
problem
cottage
with
where no one can see it.
natural design. Yes.
Listen,
Yeah.
we're taking the Mercedes and everything. We're abandoning the big house we just built. We're all living in the cottage because these people had invested in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
Um, no, they can only quantify what they can see, right? So, um,
yeah.
but I still think I'm reaping the dividends of work that I put in 15 years ago at this point.
You're reaping the dividends of the risk that you took.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the risk doesn't work out, you reap the dividends of that. And they
Yeah.
could be bad.
It can be bad. That's why we keep going hard.
Like I guarantee there's been a time when you have reaped negative dividends on a risk that you took in the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Not every job you've ever done in 15 years has gone really good where you made lots of money.
That Brockville tree job that we did at the overpass, I'm like, hey, can I bill for the other 50% of this? They said, no, the warranty period's 2 years. You can't bill the rest till the end. What the fuck? A 2-year tree warranty off the side of the highway in Brockville. You hold $60,000 over my head. What do you think the government would say about that?
Would you even take that job again
No, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd work for that GC again
because of that?
because their accounting is fucking ass backwards. Like,
Did you miss that in the quote? In the
yeah, we didn't
when you
have a
saw
jack at the time.
sorry?
We didn't have a
Oh,
jack at the time.
Jack would have caught that.
Jack would have caught that. But um, according to the government, you have to invoice for work completed in the quarter that it's completed, right? You can't defer invoicing for
No,
completed work.
absolutely not. Yes, absolutely not. Yeah.
According to this company, who is potentially the biggest civil construction company in Ontario, I can't invoice for this yet because the warranty period isn't up.
Well, they should have done a holdback, but not 50%. Well, in theory, once the job's completed and the holding 50% is outrageous.
It's insane. Like, yeah,
That's like they're hoping that you go bankrupt
yeah.
and they never have to pay you.
I
Insane.
don't know if I'd work for MTO again. That it is an MTO contract. That's MTO specifications in the contract, right? They're fucked.
That so MTO saying they won't release the 50% to the GC
Correct. Yes. So I can't invoice.
till the warranty period's up.
Yeah. And when I invoiced from the completion of the work, when it was done, to invoice minus the holdback. So
So
you
they
can't
actually have,
invoice for like I understand you're going to hold 10% of what's invoiced, but when you do the invoice, take off the 10% ahead of time. Like, what the fuck is this? This is an accounting nightmare. I passed it off to my partner's office staff, and I'm just like, you guys deal with this. This is too much for me to handle.
I get lost in the invoicing that we do because it's all the same shit. Like today, one of the generals sent through a thing saying we need all your warranty and manuals, like because now you have to send a manual for everything you installed, how to take care of the tree, how to ruffle up the mulch. You got to send these fucking manuals or whatever it is. And like I read the email, was like, great. I called Jack. I'm like, hey, can we invoice the holdback since they're like closing this job out? It's like 50 grand. I would like to have that money in the middle of the winter when it's not snowing.
Yeah.
Like, although Mike says we're getting a big storm.
I
I
check
see snow every day on the forecast.
if
I
you're
just
getting
haven't
What
checked how
app?
much.
On what app?
Google.
Google. You can Google the weather.
Yeah.
Toronto says nothing about snow on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday.
So in Pickering, I have 1 centimeter Tuesday. And Wednesday and Thursday, nothing. Then 1 centimeter Sunday.
I've got snow tomorrow, snow Wednesday, a little bit
Yeah,
on
but
Thursday, a little bit
but
on
how
Friday,
much
snow
snow?
Saturday. I don't know. It doesn't say the amount.
Exactly. It's
I
like
just
one.
tell by the amount of snowflakes in the icon.
It says 1 centimeter.
Oh, really?
From now until the 20th of January, there's 1 centimeter of snow in the forecast.
So the chances of you making the mastermind is really good.
It's fucking huge. It's fucking huge. I'm also supposed to record the Kid Contractor podcast.
When's that?
I don't know. I don't remember. Could look up the email and it would tell me. I should probably pay attention to that because I don't want to fuck them over. Okay, here's Caleb Allman's invite. That's not the last email that they sent me. This is when we were negotiating my rider.
Did you get the money you were asking for?
I didn't. I wanted. I said that if I'm going to be on this podcast, um, that Caleb has to wear a cowboy hat the whole time he's recording it and only drink Pepsi products. Now he apparently has some kind of deal, so he was unable to drink the Pepsi products, but he will wear the cowboy hat, and we have come to a mutual agreement that unbranded mineral water will be consumed during the recording of the podcast. That was the agreement we came to. And it is on Wednesday, January 15th from 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. We're recording this podcast. I guess maybe over Zoom. Maybe I should just randomly drive there and just walk into the studio and surprise them.
That'd be good.
Just walk in. I'm here. Let's record this bitch. You got your questions. You got questions. I got answers, motherfuckers. That's not how you talk on that podcast, though.
Right.
I don't think that's how you talk. I've been on it once before, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I talked like that. Maybe I did. Ooh, I'm surprised they invited me back. I wonder what kind of questions they're going to ask me. What do you think it'll be in regards to?
Do you think Caleb's been listening lately? We haven't seen any stories or anything like that, so
it's not for everyone.
Maybe he stopped listening to us.
It's not for everyone.
I would have stopped listening to us by now.
Potentially.
We talked politics for 45 minutes here today.
I listen every week.
Me too. Someone's got to keep those counts up.
Are you trying to say that people aren't interested in talking politics?
I don't know if that's why they come here. I think they can stomach it. But I don't know if it's why they come here.
Could be why they come here. They come here to hear us say that
I've been wrong once.
Neither of us would allow our children to work in our businesses.
Yeah. No, I will allow her to work.
Mike's so scared of a child working in his business, he doesn't even have any fucking children.
You put those words in my mouth. I did not say that.
I don't know. Fuck. Ugh. All right. Are you guys ready? I feel like that's a podcast right there.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It is the week of Congress, and so you won't hear this before Congress, but if you're around Congress, Mike is conducting interviews that we will be putting on the podcast. What's the Congress plan? Are we meeting there?
Yep.
I don't know.
What time will you be there, Chad?
I don't know. What time does it start? Noon?
9.
9?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not coming till noon, 1, 2. What time's it end? 5?
5.
It only takes 3 hours to walk to the floor.
I don't know. I'm going tomorrow, and
we got to do a podcast.
Okay.
So that's going to take an hour or 2.
I got to get a hotel still. Oh, I'll book all that tomorrow. I'll leave Tuesday morning.
Well, I'll be there at 9.
You'll be there all day, PK?
I like to be there first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it's nice. Maybe I'll come at 9 and we'll do a podcast for How to Hardscape.
Sure. We can do that. I'll be on the How to Hardscape podcast. I didn't make it to the last. Chad made it to the last roundtable.
Yeah.
I was driving.
I did
Chad
not make
is probably the most recurring guest on roundtables. Which I really do appreciate, Chad.
Hey, my pleasure.
I would say that I'm the most committed, but then backed out.
Yes, you probably are.
I don't think there's anyone who is committed to the roundtables more than me and then not attended them. I feel like I have that. I have that as a badge of honor. So, all right, that's the end of this podcast.
Oh, Survivor's coming soon.
Oh, Survivor.
Yep. We need a couple more people. If you're interested, send me a message.
If you want to be on the Survivor series, send a message. And is that the end now? Are we done?
Thank you for watching.
Exit music.
Such people run the world? They're so impressive. What a bunch of freaks.